Ladies and gentlemen, originally I didn't want to do a Raw review, but the show was decent enough for me to review the show anyway. I'm not going over the beginning of the show because it's usually the same thing that we always see. Two baby faces come out and then two heels coming out, which we got LA Knight and Solo Sikoa being confronted by the Usos, which led into a tag team match. Like, come on now. We've seen it before. We don't have to be seeing it again. So with how I want to start my Raw review is with the Lucha Libre World Heavyweight Championship Tournament, as the first semifinal match was Rey Fenix versus Dragon Lee. And my goodness, guys, these guys cooked. These guys were flying over the place as Dragon Lee, this man, whenever he does a suicide dive, whenever he jumps out of the ring, he always does a cannonball type move that literally makes it impactful. Especially when somebody's over at the announce table, which Rey Fenix was at. Dragon Lee was even close to beating Rey Fenix with the Styles Clash, made famous by AJ Styles. But at the end of it, Rey Fenix gets the victory and will be heading to the finals. And here I'm thinking, they better do it. They gotta do Rey Fenix versus Penta, right? So then we get the other semifinal match, which is Penta versus La Parka. And you know, these guys were doing like a little dance-off. Penta was doing his own Penta walk. La Parka was doing his own dance. But outside of that, we got a decent match between these guys. Penta connects the Penta driver to La Parka, but doesn't get the victory. Then we go to the top rope. Penta's already up there. La Parka does a Spanish fly, but it doesn't get the win there. Then we get La Parka trying to do his Bone Breaker finishing move, but it was countered by Penta to do his signature move known as the Sacrifice. You know, when he tries to break somebody's arm, not literally. So the Sacrifice gets connected, La Parka gets back up, Penta realizes that La Parka is in the position that he wants him to be in. He jumps off the second rope and he goes over La Parka and he does the Mexican Destroyer. And that was enough for Penta to head to the finals. So it was set. Penta versus Rey Fenix in the finals of this Lucha Libre World Heavyweight Championship Tournament. And the winner of that match will become the #1 contender to face Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship on Monday Night Raw in Mexico City. Although, guys, I gotta warn y'all. Friday, we're going to be getting the taped SmackDown because Raw started early because they were going to do a double taping of Raw and SmackDown. And now on Friday, we're going to get a live SmackDown and a taped Monday Night Raw. I'm saying this because SmackDown, we already getting spoilers on there because people were actually there, and I'm trying to avoid it whenever I go to Twitter. And as for Monday Night Raw, they're going to be doing the finals on that taped show, so I'm going to try to avoid social media to avoid any spoilers for next week's Monday Night Raw, especially when they are doing this Penta versus Rey Fenix finals. I mean, they could have done this Penta versus Rey Fenix match at Sunday night's main event. What's so wrong about that? But outside of that, Rey Fenix versus Penta is potentially going to be match of the year. It has to be. So now I want to move on to the contract signing between Bron Breakker and Femi. And the table, it was set to Bron Breakker and Femi sitting at each head of the table. No, I'm not talking about Roman Reigns, but that's how they had the table set up. So Bron Breakker, he signs the contract, and he had a few things to say to Femi. Who do you think you are? Oh, but what have you done to become the future of WWE? Retire Brock Lesnar, win the King of the Ring, squash a few wrestlers. Before you came in, I was known as the future. But then I got hurt. I took myself out. But what happened? You weaseled your way in, and you were given everything. Because let's face it, Oba, you were given everything because I got hurt. And now I am back to claim what is rightfully mine. Femi gets a turn and he says, "You're one angry orange man." Why is that? Is it because you think that I'm undervaluing in you? In reality, that's not the case. If you would have debuted in 2002 and beat John Cena, you would have known to be the best. Or maybe in like 2015, if you were to debut around this time and beating the big dog, whoever it was back then, Roman Reigns, you would have been the best. But buddy, it's 2026, and you've gotten bad luck ever since. Bron Breakker is going off on Femi, as he says, if you think I'm just going to be behind your shadow, guess what? I'm going to own you. And after I own you, you're going to be behind mine. You think you're the ruler? You think you're the guy? Well, I'm Bron Breakker, the guy that you couldn't beat. Breakker signs the contract, and he was going to go pass it over to Femi, but he ends up passing it to Paul Heyman, who was also there. Breakker asks Femi, "You going to sign it?" Then he shoves the freaking contract over to Paul Heyman, and he says to Femi, "Or are you going to have your daddy sign it for you?" Bron Breakker is now talking about Paul Heyman, talking to Paul Heyman actually, saying, "Hey, you walking around here like you're supervising this guy?" Brock goes ahead and takes a back seat. "Would you just ignore me? Go ahead and sign it." Breakker is going to that place, and he's just grabbing Paul Heyman, literally just telling him to sign it, sign it, sign it. And then he takes his anger out of Femi and starts beating him up. Femi starts fighting back, and these guys are throwing fists at each other. But then, it had to be ruined by Austin Theory. Both Breakker and Theory beat down Femi, and Bron Breakker was about to spear Femi in half. But Femi gets out of it. Bron Breakker is out of the ring, and that makes Femi lift up Austin Theory, does like a pizza toss throw, and he puts Austin Theory through the table. And after that, Femi signs his contract, and that was the end of that segment. These guys could also give us a match of the year at Sunday night's main event. So now I want to move on to the main event. It is the Usos versus LA Knight and Solo Sikoa. Now here, this match ends in a no contest, because as Jey Uso and Solo Sikoa were on the outside, Royce Keys makes his return, and he spears both guys into the barricade. And here I thought, oh, Royce Keys is back. Cool. But then we go into the ring, and then we see the debuting OTM, Bronco Nima, and Lucian Price. Here I was thinking that Royce Keys was going to be siding with LA Knight and Solo Sikoa, like how he teamed up with them at SummerSlam. But since Royce Keys was attacked by Jacob Fatu and nobody helped him out, Royce Keys decided he wants payback. And he wasn't going to do it alone, as he brought OTM with him. By the way, OTM stands for Out the Mud. So Royce Keys and OTM literally take everybody out. Jimmy and Jey Uso were taken out. LA Knight and Solo Sikoa were also taken out. Jay had to watch his brother get put through the announce table. Now, we don't have a name for this group. I don't know what they are planning on naming this group, but with Royce Keys leading this new faction, I don't know about that. And you know what? I think it's a good thing that they turned Royce Keys into a heel, because him being a babyface was not gonna work. The dude needs to be a monster heel. And you know what? Since WWE wants to rebuild the tag team division, OTM, legit tag team, you can literally have them beat the Vision for the tag team champions. But they're not going to do that because they want a babyface team to beat the Vision. But I think this new group with Royce Keys, Bronco Nima, Lucian Price of OTM, I think it's cool. It gives me something new to see on Monday Night Raw. But what about you guys? Did you enjoy this week's Monday Night Raw, or did you not? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, tap the notification bell for more videos, follow me on Twitter at EthanStory Show, and I'll see you in the next one.